Peace and blessings. Appreciate y'all coming to the channel. Today, we're going to talk about some stuff that's going on, the beginning stages of what's going on in the world now. And we're going to actually see when it first started all the way up until now. Now, I'm not going to highlight every single event because it's a lot of those. I'm just going to try to focus on today's lesson, which is called Jacob's Trouble. But first, we got to think, what did Jacob do to get in trouble? Jacob is just another name for Israel, and vice versa. So Jacob stopped following God's laws and commandments. And as the Israelites turned away from God, he started fulfilling the prophecies that he said would happen to them when they did that. So what we're going to do is get some details on the parts of Jacob's trouble that we are looking at. So we're going to start in Jeremiah 30 and 1. Oh, no, I'm tripping. We're going to start at Daniel 2 and 1. And we're going to kind of walk this thing down. We're going to start back from the four beasts. That's a different lesson, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time getting into the four beasts because I want to focus on Jacob's trouble. But I will say Daniel had the dream of the four beasts. And these four beasts are very important. Nobody's talking about these beasts today, but everybody's talking about the mark of the beast. Well, which beast is marking? Because we could see a minimum of four, right? Just off the strength of Daniel having a dream. Are those beasts the same? Beast is what's going to mark you if you take it in Revelations. So we need to look at some of these things today. Like I said, I appreciate y'all even considering the watch. Like, share, and subscribe. We're going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to start off in Daniel 2, and we're going to start off at the top, verse 1. It says, and in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. That's pretty clear. It says, and the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Syriac of king, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. So basically, he's telling them, hey, look, I had this dream, and I really want to know what it means because it troubled me. And they said, okay, king, tell us the dream. Now, I'm not going to read everything in between there. We're going to drop down to verse 27. Verse 27. And it says, well, hold on, before we even read that. He told them, interpret the dream. And they said, okay, well, what was the dream? And when somebody asks you a question, you're waiting on a response so that you can deliver. So they said, tell us the dream. He said, well, you know what? I don't remember the dream. How many of us have had a dream before where we didn't remember? So we trying to remember, like, man, I know I had a dream about something. You maybe even get bits and pieces of it. He said, look, I don't remember the dream, but I'm going to kill all y'all if you don't tell me what the dream meant. Now, that's wild. It's pretty wild. So we're going to drop down to 27 because obviously none of them could do that. So Daniel 2 and 27, it says, Daniel answered in the presence of the king and said, the secret which the king has demanded cannot the wise man, the astrologers, the magicians, the soothsayers show unto the king. But there is a God in heaven that revealeth secrets, and maketh known to the king Nebuchadnezzar what shall be in the latter days. Thy dream and the vision of thy head upon thy bed are these. So Daniel is letting them know, listen, you got all these people astrologers, magicians, soothsayers, all this stuff you got going on, sorcery, witchcraft. Nobody can interpret a dream. Yet Daniel was telling them, don't worry, just hold on. The Most High gonna give you some understanding. Let's continue. Verse 30. Let me see. No. Verse 29. As for thee, O king, thy thoughts came into thy mind upon thy bed. What shall come to pass hereafter? And he that revealeth secrets maketh known to thee what shall come to pass. But as for me, this secret is not revealed to me for any wisdom that I have more than any living, but for their sakes, that they shall make known the interpretation to the king, and that thou mightest know the thoughts of thy heart. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. So he's giving him the vision. He's giving him what the dream is and what the dream is going, what it means. So he told him it's a great image, right? And it's crazy that when we go through this image, it's like a statue. But then when you go into Revelations, that you read it around the same time that some of these events are going to play out, you're going to read about a so-called image there, the image of the beast. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm saying pay attention. Let's see. So let's start at verse 32. It says, this image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Now this is a wild image. If I could draw, I'd have it up here, but I ain't gonna waste neither 1 hour time. So let's look though. The head of the image was gold, right? Now, for those that's not aware of the four beasts, that represents the Babylonian Empire. And when we go through the four beasts, we're going to go through each empire, then we'll break those down. But today we just got to keep it moving. All right. So verse 34 says, thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. Here was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. I wonder who's throwing the stone at the image. Verse 36. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Now, why say we if it's Daniel? It's just one, right? Daniel must have that spirit on him. That Holy Spirit is giving him that revelation. That's what it sounds like. He say we. All right, verse 37. Thou, O king, art a king of kings. For the God of heaven has given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven have he given into thine hand, and has made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. So he was telling him, your kingdom is the head of gold. The kingdom we in right now, not us literally right now, but Daniel's speaking as far as what Daniel's telling him, this kingdom that we're living in, the Babylonian Empire, is none other than the head of gold. Verse 39. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. Now, remember, let's keep in mind, it was four different elements to this image, right? So we stopped at 39. We're gonna come back to it. I'm just gonna scroll back up just to kind of go back and forth a little bit. It says the image of the head of gold, and then I'm reading verse 32. It says this image is head of gold. So the head represents something, head of gold. Then it says his breast and his arms of silver. Y'all see that? Head of gold. And then the arms and breast go together. because that is the silver. Then it says his belly and his thighs of brass. So you got head of gold, you got breast and arms of silver, and what was the last one? Thighs of brass. Y'all got that? Now, right now, let me go off course a little bit and come back. Right now, the world is coming together to unify as one, just like they did with the Tower of Babel, however you want to say. And in that time, it was like one city, one language, one people, oneness. And during that time, excuse me, they was on one accord to the point that the Most High had to come down and divide that. Now they are kind of trying to reestablish such a thing today, where you have one government, one economical system, one military, possibly if they could take everybody else out, which is their goal. And this system is called what they're calling it is BRICS. Everyone within that has their own way as far as delivering it to their people. Like in America, I think they what do they tell us? They want us to build back better. Well, who usually does the building? I mean, what do you normally build with? Bricks and stuff, right? And then that's normally what people use when they're talking about building. Excuse me. Even whenever you talk about a physical building, they call that brick and mortar. So, excuse me. Also, when you're talking about building, who normally builds with bricks? Masons, right? So that's like a brick mason. So masons. So that's going in a different direction, but I'm just showing you how it's all interconnected, because that's what they call themselves today. Bricks is for basically is Russia, is India, China, South America, and Brazil. And they're establishing their own monetary system. Now, if this monetary system is backed by silver and gold, would that kind of represent these first two beasts? Could that be possibly the beast rising again? We'll have to see later, but I'm just throwing some stuff out there for us to kind of play around with. So we're going to pick it up at verse 40. It says, "And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided." Excuse me. So the fourth beast is going to be, or that fourth kingdom, which is the same thing, there's going to be a big time division within that kingdom. But they'll be still able to work together because they are still representing the fourth kingdom. Then it says, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in those days of these kings shall God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to the other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. So I don't know why I got these next two on there, but I don't need the next two, so it's all good. But when you go through these four beasts, you got like I said, Babylon, and you got Medo-Persia, and you got Greece and Rome. Yes, I'm saying it together. A lot of people say Rome is the fourth beast, but they use history to show it, but history also shows that they're considered the Greco-Roman Empire. And with that being said, they are together as one, just as the Medo-Persian Empire. We're not counting them as two. We're counting them as one. So at least this is my stance. I'll just say that. I don't believe that we've made it to the fourth beast yet, because this fourth beast was going to be something different. It was going to be iron mixed with clay, partly strong, partly broken and weak. So, and then right after that kingdom is when Christ is going to come in and break them down. But notice, we've made it through the first three beasts if we are in the fourth beast. If we are in the third beast, as I believe we still have made it through the first two and are making it through the three, maybe we get ready to see a change in power, change in the guard. That's still to be determined. So what we're looking at is, why did he say in verse 44, and in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom to never be destroyed? That kingdom we just went over in another lesson. That kingdom was on earth. So if it was in the days of literally those kings, how could he set up a kingdom to never be destroyed on earth in the Babylonian kingdom and still have the Medo-Persian and the Greco-Roman kingdom come behind it? What he's telling you is, yes, these things are going to play out individually, but in the end times, in the latter days, all these kingdoms are going to come back and unify as one major beast. That's why the image is together still. It has to be broke. When it wasn't just the feet that got broke. That's what got hit with the image, but the image was still all one. So we're going to continue. Let's go to Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30. Now, I wanted to start there before we actually started getting into the Jacob's trouble, because all these things tie together. But I also wanted to make sure that we understood where it was coming from first. So now we're going to go to Jeremiah 30, and we're going to start at the top. Told you, I know it looks short, but it's going to be a little bit of reading today. That's what happened when you got a big beard. Jeremiah 30 and 1. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Thus speaketh the Lord God of Israel, saying, Write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Israel and Judah. Israel and Judah represent the northern and the southern kingdom of Israelites. Then it says, saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So that nobody's confused when he says bring again the captivity. That bring again just means turn. He's going to turn your captivity. So it's not saying you're getting ready to go into another captivity. He's saying I'm going to turn the one that you have. The four beasts is the first one, which was the head of gold, was the Babylonian Empire. The second one was the Medo-Persian Empire, which was the Medes and the Persians, which was the silver, the breast and the arms of silver. The third beast is supposed to be the Greco-Roman Empire, which was the thighs of brass. And the fourth beast is yet to be revealed according to what I'm seeing. Now, a lot of people teach that the third beast was the Greeks and the fourth beast was Romans, but they're the same people essentially was ruling from the same place and doing everything together. So I have it the way that I have it for a reason, and we'll eventually get more into that fourth beast down the road. So once again, Babylon, Medo-Persian, the Greeks and the Romans, and what's to come. All right. Verse 4, it says, And these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. So, we're going in the direction we're not used to hearing. When we talk about the Bible, it sounds good. It's supposed to be roses and butterflies and all kind of happily ever afters. But the Bible is not a happily ever after first. You got to earn that. Verse 5. Y'all see that? I'm going to say it again. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man do travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Now, when it says do man travail with child, that word that word travail is talking about distress. It's talking about the laborious pains that we're going to go to. It's comparing it to a woman giving birth. And in another part, like I said, I can't put everything in, but it's another scripture that compares it to a woman giving birth for the first time, which is going to be different because you don't even really know what to expect. And we ain't gonna know what to expect because most of us are not reading. But y'all see, it says, do a man travail with child? Do we? A man give birth? That's something we don't even want to think about. But I'm just saying. But then he says, well, why do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail and faces turned to paleness? Then it says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Now, we'll stop right there for a quick second. There's some tough stuff here. And we're talking about Jacob's trouble, right? A lot of people are looking at it like Jacob's trouble is what we get ready to see now. This is the worst part of it. When you're talking about labor pains, it's not over quick and easy. We're thinking, oh, look at the world, what's going on today? We get ready to go through with something and be done. No, we've been going through something. A lot of us are just naive to the fact. But when we entered into that first beast, Jacob was in trouble then. All the way until even when Christ came, what he said, listen, when y'all see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, flee into the wilderness. Because we've been in trouble. It's just we are getting to the point where we are past all of the contractions when it's like, ooh, it's getting bad. We're holding on to the side of the bed and all that kind of stuff. We're past that. At this point, well, I'm doing the best I can. I ain't no woman. But hey, it's bad. I just say that. We're at the point now where it's time to push and scream. So I'm just, y'all don't see what's going on here, but it's getting ready. It's going to be bad. I just said that we are at the end of the labor. And at this point, what happens when you finally deliver that baby? A new beginning, right? New life. And that's what the Most High is trying to do, birth us into something new. But we must go through Jacob's trouble first. And he's telling you it's going to be very bad. Let's continue. It says, For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. But they shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Lord, neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. So it's going to be so bad that we're going to be so happy for our deliverance. Everybody talking about they saved now. When you get saved from this, because this is the true salvation here, him turning your captivity, him delivering you from the hand of the oppressor to where you're supposed to be at anyway. He's saying, I am your savior. For some reason, we won't wait on the savior to be saved. But you'll know the difference then. You won't even have to ask nobody if they saved. At this point, it's going to be clear. Verse 11. For I am with thee, saith the Lord, to save thee. Though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee, yet will I make a full end of thee. Yet will I not make a full end of thee. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished. So he's letting you know, listen, you're going to get punished and corrected, but I'm here to save you. But it's going to have some people that's not going to accept it, obviously. Verse 12. Yeah, verse 12. For thus saith the Lord, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. So he's telling you it's nothing that anybody's going to do about your situation. And it's going to get worse from here. It's going to get worse, and it's nothing that's going to happen. You got to endure it or be blessed to be in the wilderness, which we'll eventually get to that. Verse 14. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. Why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. So he's saying, look, nobody can help you because I'm doing this stuff to you because of your sin. So I know when to stop. I'm the one swinging the belt. When I stop swinging the belt, then will I come and comfort you. But you're going to get some correction first. So it's no point in crying out with your affliction. And you don't have to believe me. Just look at the past 10, 15 years that we've been walking around talking about Black Lives Matter, pumping our fists and stomping our feet. And has it changed anything? No. We voted for all types of people, all types of parties. Has it changed anything? No. It's actually made things worse. The world is worse now than it was 5 to 10 years ago. I don't understand how we can't see this, but I think we want the help so bad that we kind of see something that's not there. And it's like, wow. Well, let's try this. Man, that didn't work. Let's try that. What was it, the 90s? Early 90s when the Rodney King incident, I think it was like early 90s, where the police beat him down in the street. Well, just last year, probably this year too, I haven't checked. Just last year, the police shot somebody down in the street. We're talking 30 years ago. The same thing is happening today because we're doing the same thing to fix it, which is everything except for what the book say. Verse 16. Let me see something. Yeah. He says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prayer. So basically, he's letting you know, I will turn to captivity where you are the oppressor, and everyone else will serve Israel and the Most High. But it will be a righteous captivity, not the captivity that you see today, and not the one that people are speaking about, talking about, oh, yeah, we're going to do this to people and that to people. No, you're not, or you're going to become the people. So what you want to do is continue to keep the laws of the Most High. Remember, he's saying love and forgive thy enemies. So there's no way that you're going to be able to return that favor. That's why it's his job to do that. Let's continue. Let's get 1 Thessalonians 5:1. Yeah, 1 Thessalonians 5:1. All right. Yeah. But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Y'all see that? Pretty tough. It says, but ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. So if you got some understanding, you shouldn't be operating in darkness. You should actually see it coming. Is what he's trying to tell you. Verse 5. Ye are all the children of light and the children of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep as do others, but let us watch and be sober. He's telling you to watch and be sober because you're going to see the signs and know what to do. He's going to give you the signs, and you'll know what to do by those signs. As long as you are not asleep. That's why I tell you, wake up or you're going to die asleep. Now let's go and look at this, because this is key. Verse 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, who normally brings in peace? I know everybody talk about the Antichrist is going to bring in peace. We'll talk about that one day. But peace, who normally represents peace or is represented by peace or uses peace to represent them? Islam. Just keep that in mind. For when they shall say peace and safety, y'all don't got to worry about nothing else. We got y'all. Everything's going to be peaceful. As long as you do what they God say, you'll be safe. Then sudden destruction come upon them, as travail upon what? A woman with child. So just like all of a sudden, a woman just goes into labor and it's like, oh, I think now is the time. You don't have time to prepare. You should have already had your car seat in the car derail. You can't run down the hall and try to fight. I'm sorry, I'm getting off course. So let's keep going. Let's get Daniel 12. Let's get Daniel 12. I could have went into the end of Daniel 11 for a little build up, but for the sake of time, because I got some reading to do. We're going to do Daniel 12. We're going to start at the top. Daniel 12 and 1. All right. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, even every one that shall be found written in the book. Now, we're talking about the book of life at the end, right? So check this out. He's telling you it's a time of trouble, but we've made it to the birthing time of trouble, because it says we now are at the end. We're not at the first part of the pregnancy where you're going through the different trimesters and the things associated with that, with the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire, the Greek and Roman Empire. We are at the end, getting ready to go into this last fourth beast that's going to rule for a short time, we'll see. But it says once we get to this time of trouble, this part of the trouble is not going to be nothing like the first beginning of the trouble. So we are at the end of the pregnancy. It's going down. And then it says, verse 2, and many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. So what we're talking about here is the first resurrection, when the dead in Christ rise. So we know that happens upon his return. So he's letting you know we at the end. It's going to be a crazy time of trouble. And then after that time of trouble, we know the dead in Christ going to rise and Christ is coming down. It's all making sense now for those that know that much. And for those that don't, just stay tuned. We got you. We're going to make sure it's easy. Verse 5. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth. See, I guess that's where we get it from. We put our hands up and say, I swear to God, that's what he's saying. That's crazy. That's what it is. He held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So he said, this is going to be finished. We know we're talking about it's the end, because we're talking about people are rising from the sleep, the great resurrection, Daniel standing up for the people. So we're beginning to make some sense here and get some things. We even find people's name being delivered that's written in the book. That's got to be the end, because you can have your name written out the book by your actions. So obviously these people are solidified. This sounds like to me almost, well, I'm gonna hold that. So let's be clear. Verse 7 told us how long this would take. the delivery, the end time, the last part of it. It said for a time, times, and a half, right? So in another place it'll say time, times, and divided a time. So what we're gonna have is time is 1 year, times is 2 years. So that puts us at 3. And then a half or dividing the time is a half a year. 3.5 years. And we're going to see that again. But first, let's go to Mark 13 and 14. Mark 13 and 14. It makes sense a little bit. You think you're getting a little bit? All right. You hope so. If not, it'll be up here. Nah, I'm just playing. All right. Mark 13 and 14. But when ye shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him that readeth understand. So he's telling you might want to read Daniel about the abomination of desolation so that you can understand this, which means this may be mysterious if you can't just read it and understand it, or maybe he's just saying so that you can know what's going on. Go back and read it. Let's see what he says. When you see this abomination of desolation, it says, then let them be in Judea, flee into the mountains. Now, on another chapter, another book, he says, when you see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, flee into the mountains. So this right here is what led to where we're at now. So at this point, they were still able to be in their land, but whenever Jacob's trouble, remember Jacob's trouble is like a pregnancy. So whenever Jacob was in trouble, you're at that point where you're going to have different levels of it. They left Israel, then they were brought back into Israel. Then some of the rest of them was kicked out of Israel. Now he's telling the ones that's left, which was the southern kingdom, he said, look, when y'all see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, y'all need to leave. Here, the way he's saying it is when you see the abomination of desolation coming in here, y'all need to leave. But this is it. Once y'all leave, then we're heading into the last portion. So we're looking at it like that's a long time, man, because you're talking about 2,000 years ago. But that's only like 2 days for God. So that's not a long time. So we'll keep reading. 15. And let him that is on the housetop not go down into the house, neither enter therein to take anything out of his house. Kind of sound like how Lot and his wife had to leave, right? Don't look back, basically what they're saying. You better go. And let him that is in the field not turn back again for to take up his garment. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, and pray ye that your flight be not in the winter. For in those days shall be affliction. Now, in another book is going to say tribulation. I wanted this one because I wanted people to see it's not just tribulation, it's affliction. For in those days shall be affliction, such as was not from the beginning of the creation, which God created until this time, neither shall be. So these days from that time all the way to the end is going to be crazy. But the last 3.5 is highlighted because it's prophecy for certain things to take place. Because we're talking about the wilderness for that particular point. It was not needed for us to go into the wilderness then, because we still got some more prophecies to fulfill. So, verse 20. It says, and except that the Lord had shortened those days, no flesh should be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he has shortened the days. And then if any man shall say to you, lo, here is Christ, or lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christ and false prophets shall rise and show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. But take ye heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. So he's letting you know it's going to come a point where y'all going to get, when you get towards the end I say the end of the beginning of what we were just reading, because they had to get forced out of their land. Before that, they were still in trouble because they were still up under the Romans at that time, right? So, like I said, I tell people that's a long fourth beast. if that's the same beast, because we was up under the Romans then, and then they saying we're up under the Romans now. That's why I'm telling y'all, I think that's the third beast, the Greeks and the Romans together. We are headed into the fourth beast, which we can see it happen. So verse 24 says, but in those days after that tribulation. So remember, it was said it was going to be affliction, right? And another place says great distress. Another place says tribulation. So after tribulation, it says the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give her light. After the stars of heaven shall fall and the powers that are in heaven shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost parts of the earth to the uttermost parts of heaven. Who are his elect? That's Israel, right? So he's going to have his angels gather Israel, and from there they'll be gathered to, I believe, the wilderness to join everybody else that's already there. And we'll see some of that, but you know, I can't say but so much now. But we're gonna keep moving. So we're going to Daniel 8. No. Daniel 7 and 1. Because we talking about the beast, and we're talking about how crazy it's gonna be, what empire we in. So let's get a closer look at these beasts. Daniel 7 and 1. Let me see. Yeah. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon. Wait a minute. I thought Babylon's king was Nebuchadnezzar. So Belshazzar, I believe, is his son that took over. So it's the same empire. It's the same beast. The beast don't change just because the person changed. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. Now we'll go into the meaning of all that when we talk about the beast in particular. That's a different lesson. But we see that's the first beast, right? And behold, another beast, a second like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, well, that second beast, that's the Medes and the Persians, or the Medo-Persian Empire, however you want to look at it. So now we at verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. So we see one beast taking out another beast, and another beast coming in and taking out it, and that was the third, right? All right. Let me see. Verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. Remember, the image said that fourth beast, or the fourth part of the image, the feet, it said part iron and part clay, right? And right here it says it had great iron teeth, speaking on the fourth beast. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Y'all see that? 10 horns. One more. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, it was the horn. In this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. A lot of people say that this is the Antichrist, or either the false prophet. But that's for something else. Let's see. Let's drop down to verse 17. Y'all see the first three beasts was given some descriptions, right? But this fourth one, it just said 10 horns. But it said it was different from all the other beasts. And we're going to see why it was different to a degree. Depends on how you look at this thing. We're going to see, though, verse 17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Now, I just wanted to read 17 so that we can see what we're talking about here. These are 4 kings, which means at least 4 kingdoms, right? So these are different empires. Now, that's why I say what I say about the Greeks and the Romans. Those the same people, basically ruling from the same place, same empire. Let's drop down now. Let's get 21. We're going to go 21 through 25. All right. It says, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. You know what prevailed means? They overcame. They won. If you prevail, that means you get to keep going forth, right? So nobody ain't teaching this in the church, or they're probably telling you this already happened. But it says, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Some of these saints are gonna lose. Y'all see that? Now, before I continue, let's look at this, because see, in Christianity, when they teach this, they're gonna tell you this is the Pope and this is Roman Catholics. So who are the saints then? Who are the saints? Because whoever this is, they made war. So the Christians did make war with people, and the Christians won, but I thought the Christians were supposed to be the saints. This is why it's confusing, because we don't know which is which. And I think it's because we assume it. But if we just read, and it simply says, whoever this horn is going to speak words against the Most High. We see that in another part. And it's tell you this horn is going to make war against the saints. The saints, and it's the same thing as the elect. It's the Israelites. But it's when it say saints, even it's talking about the righteous ones. Even if you're righteous and you're going to be trying to stand up against evil, they are coming for you. It's not going to be what people are telling y'all. They're coming for you because you're holding up their kingdom by trying to hold on to the kingdom of the Most High. This is why you want to be a saint, but you want to be in the wilderness. Because if not, you getting whooped. We see it. Verse 22. Until the Ancient of Days came. So they're going to prevail against them all the way until Christ come back, right? And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So they have to get whooped all the way until the Lord come back and reestablish their kingdom. Y'all see that? Verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms. How is the Greeks the third beast and the Romans the fourth, but their kingdom is basically the same? I say basically because there's slight difference, but it's basically the same. And here it's telling you the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse. That's different from all kingdoms. How are we going to sit here and say they're the same, but then say they're different to fit prophecy? It don't make sense. It's because we missing it. We missing it. It says, and talk about this fourth kingdom, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. So they're going to tear this earth up. That sounds like war. That sounds like they're going to do whatever they got to do to take everybody out. This is why he has to shorten the days. This is why it's only going to be a 3.5 year process once that portion of it kicks off. Yes, it lasts longer than that because they're doing it now in the setup. It's just those 3.5 years. It's going to be something different. It's going to be something different going on. I got to go through. Okay, 24. Remember it said 10 horns, right? Let's see about that. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise. And another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings. And he shall speak great words against the Most High. and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto him into his hand until a time and times and divided a time. So this is the part that I'm talking about that's going to be short. When that last horn rise up, after those 10, you're going to have that one last one, and he's going to change stuff. We see it. Everybody always saying that this is the fourth beast already because the Pope done changed that daylight saving time and all that stuff. No, let's read it again. The fourth beast, I'm going to start at 23 because this is important. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. That's the fourth beast, different. And then it says 10 horns. Remember, the fourth beast has 10 horns. This is all a part of the same system, same beast. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom, same kingdom, are 10 kings that shall arise. Now, if you want to see 10, you can go to Psalms 83 at any time and read that, but that's a different lesson. I just put it out there for those that studies. Now, it says, and another shall arise after them. So after the 10 kings, it's going to be one more that's going to come after them, right? That's clear. And he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings. And he, same person, shall speak great words against the Most High. So that ain't happened yet. This is somebody who's going to be different. Then it says, and he shall wear out the saints of the Most High and think to change times and laws. So, and this is for the 3.5 year period. Now, these times and laws that they're talking about here, it's going to be way different than what everybody is taking guesses at. Let's get Daniel 8 and 23. But these times and laws, see, for example, because in different places, obviously, I say different places because obviously it's not going to be America. America is ruling that. So it can't be a part of the 10 horns or the 11th horn, or however you want to look at it. So with that being said, we know something new is coming. It's going to be diverse. So we got to look outside of the norm. And when I go outside of the norm, you see more dictatorship. You see more people ruling with the iron fist or whatever they call it. So when we're looking at that, the biggest territory is the Muslim or Islamic territory. And they definitely would have to change times and laws if they took over, because they got certain times of the day where they do things and it's mandatory. But that's different. Daniel 8 and what I say, 23? All right. Let's get 21. You know what? No. I'm gonna save that for when I do the 4 B's. We'll just stick straight to it. Daniel 8 and 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper and practice, and shall destroy the mighty and holy people. Why are we not reading about mighty and holy people being destroyed? Why we don't talk about that? Verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hands. Sound like witchcraft and sorcery. And he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. How he gonna destroy him? Peace. Is peace normally what would destroy you? No. It's deceptive. By peace. Who I told y'all bring peace? Or at least say that's what they bring. Islam, that's what they are represented by. Peace, right? They say so and so peace be unto them. Now, listen. Peace shall destroy many. It's right here. They're going to use witchcraft. If you had any understanding, if you don't, do the research. The people of the first empire, the Babylonians, these people were none other than the Arabs, the mixed multitude. We're talking about Esau We're talking about Ishmael. We're talking about the sons of the east. We're talking about the other, I think, 10 sons that Abraham had. And they actually made a pact with a whole lot of the Africans. And that is what we're talking about here. But it'll be a whole lot clearer later. But I'm just telling you, by peace, they're going to destroy many, right? It says, he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hands. So he's going to stand up against who? The prince of princes. But we just read in Daniel 12, what did it say? And Michael, the prince, shall stand up for the people. We could be talking about the same thing. Possibly. Sounds like it. I'll just leave it there. Let's get 2 Thessalonians 2 and 1. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 1. But y'all just keep in mind, by peace, right? Mm-hmm. He's going to destroy many. And he's targeting the elect. He's targeting the saints. And in the last one we just read, how was they described? I think it said the holy people, the mighty and the holy people. So we gotta, we just gotta keep that in mind. Because we're told everything's going to be all right. Just wait for Jesus to come get us. No. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 1. All right. It says, now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So the man of sin, also known as the son of perdition, also known as the Antichrist to some, also known as the false prophet to some. It's going to be the same person or the same spirit. Now, look at this. He said it's got to be a falling away first. What are they falling away from? Could they be falling away from the truth? Look at the world today. What's look like it's happening? Let's get verse 4. This same person that we're talking about, the man of sin, it says, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worship, so that he, as God, sit in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So in the end, somebody's going to be trying to play the role of God because of the power that's given to him. Now, we just read about this same guy in, what was the last place we just left from? Daniel, right? Daniel 8. And it talked about this guy. And this is the same person. In Daniel 8, it said he destroyed wonderfully. He had craft in his hand, but it said not by his own power. Revelation 13 tells you that he gave his, Satan gave his power to the beast. That's why it says not by his own power. Let's pick it up in verse 5. It says, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity do already work. Only he who now letteth will let, until he be taken out of the way. So he said, listen, I know this is strange and this is mysterious, but this man of sin, he's already working. Why? Because it's really Satan and his forces. He just used people. And these people have already been in charge before. The Babylonians, Arabs. The Medo-Persians, Arabs. Greeks and Romans, that's not Arabs, but they ruled with Arabs, because when you go and look in the time of Christ, it said the Romans was in charge, but then the king that wanted to kill Jesus was King Herod, and he was an Edomite, which is of the Arabian Empire, Arab. So he's letting you know this is not old. This has been going. Jacob been in trouble. We just get into the delivery part. So I got some things for you to watch out for. Don't go to sleep is what he said. Be watchful, because those last 3.5 years is going to be crazy. But it's the build up to that you got to be watching, because when you get into that build up, then if you don't pay attention, you don't know what's coming. And just to show what we're talking about is end time, let's continue. Verse 8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Y'all see that? Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Didn't we just read in Daniel 8 that this person did not have their own power? But at the end of the day, if you're not doing something with your own power, somebody gave you some power, right? All right, let's continue then. As long as we got that. Let's get Revelations 11 and 1. Let's see, yeah, Revelations 11 and 1. We ain't going to go through a whole lot of this, but I told you, don't look at them scriptures now. This, it looks short, didn't it? I know. Revelations 11 and 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod. And the angel stood, saying, Arise and measure the temple of God, and the altar, and them that worship therein. But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. And the holy city they shall tread underfoot 42 months. That's 42 months, right? That's pretty easy to see. Let's keep reading. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 score days. Anybody? Closing sackcloth. Anybody know how long that is? 1,203 score days. 1,200. That's 1,200, right? That's 1,200. And then the 60 days is 1,260, right? So if you take how long is a year supposed to be? It's supposed to be basically 360, right? And we know that based off the Bible. It's going to be around at least close to that. Not 365 though. So if you do the math, I'm gonna let you come look at it. Now, 360 times 3 is 1080, right? So what? No. I won't. No. I'm saying right from right here. 360 times 3 is 1,080, but it said 360 days times 3.5. So now when you add that other 6 months to it, you get 1,260 days. Which is, so 42 months is 3.5 years, which is 1,260 days. And that's called a time, times, and dividing the time. It's the same thing. If we're not doing the math, we thinking the Bible's talking about something different. It's the same thing. So what's going on here? He has a certain spot measured out for us, and we will be there, and we'll be safe, because it's going to be super crazy and chaotic. However, whenever you get into when you go outside of that, that's the part he said, don't measure that. That's for the Gentiles. Let them have all that. Let other nations have all that's around this area. Because remember, in another lesson we read, it said we'll be surrounded, right? Now, we're going to put all that together to show you what's going to happen up until then. But for now, we'll keep moving. But we see 42 months is 3.5 years. Do you want to know the easy way to do the math? I just was messing with you. You want to know the easy way to do it? How many months is a year? 12, 24, 36. And I know. But I'm just saying, I just want to mess with you a little bit. Let's get Revelations 12. Revelations 12, we start at the top. Yeah. All right, 12 and 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. So this is talking about Israelites. That's why it's 12 stars, and the sun and the moon is their mother and father. We could go back to Genesis and read that, but not today. Not today. And she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. You see, we got a lot of the same symbolism, right? We got a lot of the same talk going on. Travailing in birth and pained to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, And behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns. That sound familiar? Because a dragon is like a beast, right? And we'll find out that that beast is Satan. But it says, and a dragon having 7 heads but 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. What does a crown represent? You're a ruler or a king, right? Same thing we read in Daniel then. Then it says, and his tail drew the 3rd part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. Now, that dragon was ready to kill Jesus when he was born because he was trying to stop these prophecies, because that gives him more time. We're going to see who the dragon was, but for now, we're gonna keep reading. Let me see. Yeah, we'll keep reading. So it says, and she brought forth the man-child who was to rule all nations with the rod of iron. And her child was called up unto God and to his throne. So who was called up to God to sit on the throne? All right, so it's clear that this woman, Israel, that's what the woman is representing, gave birth to a child, which was Christ. And we know that because it says Christ came out of the loins of Judah, meaning Christ was born of a man. So we're going to keep reading. And the woman, now, who was the woman then? Okay, now Mary is his mother, but in this right here, we're doing symbolism. So who did the woman represent? Israel, the Israelites, because that's who Christ came out of. So when it says the woman, we're talking about Israel. It says, and the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of God, that they should feed her. So they're going to feed her. Let's see how long. They're going to feed her there 1,260 days. How long is that? 1,260 days, right? What's another number we can give for 1,260 days? 3.5 years. 42 months. All right. So this is all taking place at the same time then. This is what's going on. You got the 42 months, 3.5 years, 1,260 days, and the times of divided time. All the same events, all the same time. So what's going on is, while all these crazy things are going on, while Satan is after Israel, what people don't understand, that's why Israel is the target today. That's why you see the police shoot down the same people. You don't see a Japanese boy in the street getting shot down over here, or anywhere that I can see by the police. You don't see every other nation under the oppression that the Israelites are, because the Israelites are the so-called oppressed black man today. And Satan is the true oppressor, because he's coming for him right here. So let me see what I got on here. 17. Yeah. So we see she's going to be protected at that time, right? So then let's keep going. It says, and there was a war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out. That dragon, how many heads was it? 10. It was 7 heads and 10 horns. So this dragon is who? It says, and that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent. So who is the old serpent? You got to go to the Old Testament to find it, right? Genesis chapter 3. That old serpent is the devil. We see it because it says that old serpent called the devil and Satan deceiveth the whole world. And he was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. How he deceived the whole world? Because at this time, he already been deceiving us all the way up until this time. But the whole world is going to be going for the mark of the beast up under the empire of what I believe is the Arabian Empire. We're going to keep going. I say I believe, and I took God out of it because I don't want to speak for something that we're not reading, but all the clues point us there. Let's continue. Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now has come salvation. Wait, so salvation didn't come in Revelation 12, but people got salvation and they saved right now? Salvation is in right here. Now has come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accuseth them before our God day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto death. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time, because it's only 3.5 years for this kingdom. And Matthew 24, Mark 13, they both told us that he's only going to have a short time to do this. Verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast into the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. Who was that woman? So Israel is going to be under heavy persecution at this time. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away in the flood. Remember the last time we came out of captivity, or came out of Egypt, we had to face water, right? But it opened up for us. Verse 16, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed up the woman which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Wait, so these are other Israelites. So some Israelites must have been saved or gotten saved out of that situation, but some of them did. So he went to go make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. So you're going to have some people that are going to keep the commandments, but they're not going to make it to the wilderness for whatever that reason is. I don't want to get into that. So Revelations 13. Revelations 13 and 1. Gosh, man, it's so, my time is short right now. It's so much I could do with this, but Revelations 13 and 1. I'm gonna stick to what I said. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the crowns, upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Y'all see that? Mm-hmm. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Have we seen something like that before? That was Daniel 7, right? Mm-hmm. That was the first, I don't know if that was the first beast. It was one of the beasts. No, Daniel 7. And his feet were like unto the feet of a bear. That was one of them. And his mouth, the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power. Who was the dragon? But he gave this beast, which we know is an empire, he gave them his power and his seat and great authority. So a seat is usually used for political power, but remember, we wrestle not against flesh, but against what? Darkness and spirits and rulers in dark places, principalities, all these things. And here it is. We see it. We see an empire that's going to come out. And we're in Revelation 13, right? When these people went into the wilderness, here comes a crazy empire. Not saying it wasn't already established at that time, but I'm just saying as far as the order we're reading it in. Here comes a crazy empire in which the dragon, also known as the devil, gives his power and seat and authority to these people. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. So this is a beast, right? We're talking about the mark of the beast. And if this is the chapter where you're going to talk about the mark of the beast, but when you read about the mark of the beast, we hear beast, but we don't read this part to see what this beast was. This beast sounds like it's all the beasts together, right? Because it had the lion and the leopard and the bear. But that's what Daniel's image was. That's what Nebuchadnezzar's image was that Daniel interpreted when we read Daniel 2, right? And it was the head of gold, breast and arms of silver, thighs of brass, and then the feet was the fourth empire. We're reading it, but it's still one beast all together, and that's what everybody is missing. This is why he was diverse, because you thought they might have went through something in the first empire, or the second one, or the third one, But this is going to be, all of these people are going to be together. Why you think the Pope is over here kissing the feet of the Arabs? Because they get ready to come to, everybody not seeing this, but it's what it's looking like anyways. And this is what we're reading. It says that they worship the dragon. So they worship, these are devil worshippers. We see that, right? Mm-hmm. And before that, in verse 3, it says his head was wounded to death, right? Now, but then it says he was healed. So if you got wounded and healed, that means you done fought before, right? It's you've already been here before. And when you got into whatever type of fight you got into, you got wounded and you came back. So this is the resurrection of the Babylonian Empire, because whose empire did Daniel interpret the dream for? Nebuchadnezzar. And that is the first beast, which is the the Babylonian Empire. Why you think it say the daughter of Babylon later on? But they all going to be coming together. Verse 4. And they worship the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. And they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto this beast? Who is able to make war with him? So they saying, look, we got the whole world now. I don't think nobody can beat us. Verse 5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Oh, that's easy math now. It better be easy math by now. Because listen, I don't need no calculator, no pen, put no pen over here. Listen, 42 months is 1,260 days. It's 3.5 years. It's a time, and divided time. You see how easy I did that math? Because I'm following what it says. And this is the time that the woman is in the wilderness, right? And the woman is Israel. Some of them, because he's going to make a war with the remnant. So I'm hoping I'm in the wilderness at this time, because we read earlier that it was going to be a little horn with eyes, and he was going to speak great things against the Most High. Now we see it again. And back then it said he was going to wear out the saints of the Most High. So you want to be in the wilderness. Verse 6, and he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was, even though modern day Christians I don't ascribe to that. Do you think even a modern day Christian, old Christian, anybody dealing with the Bible, you think that they would blaspheme God's name? They're going to be like, even though we don't believe what you believe, we ain't going to talk against God. Whoever this is don't believe in the God of this Bible. That's why you got to go outside of this Bible to find them, or find whoever's responsible for this. It says that he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God and blaspheme his name, which is his authority, and his tabernacle, which is to come down, and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. He that hears the patience and faith of the saints. Now, let's continue. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. I think this might just be Satan himself, but we'll hold off on it. It says, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men. He deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. That was Babylon. But they coming back. But Babylon coming back is not the whole Arabian Empire, because you got Saudi Arabia, which is more like Esau, and then you got Abraham's other sons with Ishmael, who made a pact with a lot of people in Psalms 83. Go read it. So all these people are making up these empires. And so then it says, And he had power to give life into the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. That's what Islam do. I'm just throwing it out there. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. Or you don't gotta have just the mark, it's an option. The mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you're gonna have to be associated in one of these people, in one of these instances. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 600 That's 666. Everybody take off running. They don't want to hear nothing about that. Oh my God, it's 666. That's the devil, and it is, but it's not the way that you think. So I'm gonna end, like I said, it's a lot, but I'm probably gonna just end it here because I'm way past the time that I intended. But I will say this: 666 is in the Bible in another place before we got to Revelations. And remember, it says it's the number, of the beast, but it's also the number of a man, right? And then it says you got to have the name or the number, right? That or the mark. So we'll get into the mark of the beast another time, but 666 in the Greek comes out to I think it's vicarious filii, which says the vicar of Christ or the replacement of Christ or the substitute of Christ. So whoever this is do not want to accept Christ. I'm not saying it's got to be Islam. I'm just saying whoever this is don't want to accept Christ. Also, when you look it up in the Arabic, it comes out to something that says Bismillah. And whenever you look at that, you look at the writing of it in their language, and you look at which comes out to 666 is actually the writing on how you would write it in Arabic. It looks like the same thing here, and it's the same people. So I'm just pointing you in the right direction in this lesson. I promise you, I do want to keep going, but I'm not. So that's the lesson. I just gotta say that so I can get out of here. That's the lesson. Jacob's trouble. It's gonna be a crazy time, and some of the time it's happening now to build up to it. But those last 3.5 years is gonna be it's gonna be crazy. So what you want to do is you want to be righteous enough and watchful enough that you can make it into the wilderness as that woman in Revelations 12 so that you can be protected. So we got a lot of lessons to do. Like, share, subscribe, keep up with what's going on because this is Jacob's trouble, but we got to talk about the mark of the beast is coming soon. I definitely going to do that soon. The 4 beasts, I'm going to do that soon so we get more detail on that. And who the Arabian Empire breaks down to be. We definitely got to do those for sure real soon. So y'all, like I said, just be patient with me because I'm gonna be trying to get it out as fast as I can. But and the wilderness, got to do a lesson on just the wilderness. So stay tuned. Appreciate your time. Hope somebody got something on go.